Hi, I'm David McCree, CPA, and I want to give you some tips about how to deal with an IRS notice when you get it. First, read every word on every page very carefully. Then go back to the beginning, and this time take a highlighter and highlight all the parts that seem to apply to you and that call for action on your part. Take special notice of which tax period the notice applies to. It might be last year, or it might be 3 years ago. Are they asking you for information? Are they assessing a penalty? What is it that they want? Don't panic, whatever it is. If you're a volunteer or an employee of the organization, you need to notify management immediately and make sure they get the letter. There's usually a time frame stated in the letter in which you have to respond. Make sure you respond to the letter within the time frame given. You should start a file for IRS correspondence, and anything that's related to that particular issue, copies of it should go in that file. You should gather evidence. If this is a penalty notice, you should gather evidence that's related to why the penalty was late. Perhaps it's emails back and forth, maybe it's documents, correspondence of some kind. Put a copy of that in the file. Make sure that the officers of the organization are immediately notified of the penalty. Do not try to hide it from them. I see this all too often, as where a lower level employee will try to hide it from the executive director or from the treasurer. Not a smart thing to do. If you have a CPA or legal counsel that was involved, or that you want to help you with the penalty, make sure that they're notified immediately and that they receive a copy. Whoever you give responsibility to follow up on the notice or the penalty, make sure that you stay on top of it. Don't just dump it in their lap and expect them to handle it. The organization, the officers of the organization, have a responsibility to follow through and make sure that it's done. Don't be afraid to call the IRS. If you need more time, there's a phone number on the notice. Give them a call. It'll have to be an officer of the organization. Give the IRS a call and say, hey, we're going to respond to your notice. We just need a little bit more time. And it's not unusual for them to give another 8 or 12 weeks for you to respond. Remember, though, that whatever they tell you over the phone is absolutely worthless as far as being able to rely on it if things don't go as planned. Anything that you get from the IRS that you want to be able to rely on, you have to get it in writing. And of course, that's pretty hard to do. Unfortunately, many organizations don't seem to put the time and effort into crafting a reasonable cause abatement request letter that they need to. I think that this is because they're really not sure where to start, and they don't know what type of an argument to make and what sort of evidence is required to back up that argument. Whenever I write a letter, I go through a 5-step process, and I do that so I don't miss anything. It's been a very successful method for me over the years. In the materials that I offer for sale on my website, I explain this 5-step method to you. Also, I give you examples of letters that were successful in having many thousands of dollars in penalties abated. However you choose to write your letter, don't expect to be able to do it in an hour or two. I usually spend 3 to 5 hours. Sometimes I put the letter down when I'm finished with it and pick it up the next day to look at it with fresh eyes. I go through many drafts before I can produce something that I really have confidence in. I hope these tips have been helpful to you, and I hope you put them into practice. This is David McCree, CPA, form990help.com.